Hello, and welcome back to the Canopy, the podcast where we talk about generative engine optimization, small business, and what's changing in the world of AI search. I'm Jen Shannon, your host and founder of Clemelopy. If you're listening, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you spending your time with me. In today's episode, we are starting with the basics. What is generative search? What is GEO? How does it compare to SEO? And is GEO just really good SEO? Phew, that's a lot of acronyms to keep up with, am I right? Let's dive in. Even if you've been in the marketing world for more than 5 minutes, you may not be familiar with GEO. It's new and emerging, and I've even been told that Clemelopy is early to the game. If you've heard of GEO, then you've probably heard someone say GEO is the new SEO. And if you're like most people, your first thought was, is this just another rebrand, another buzzword I have to learn, maybe another acronym to add to the pile that I already have listed in my head that I have to try to remember? When I first started hearing about GEO, my first thought was, okay, is this actually different, or is this just marketers trying to make something sound new so they can sell courses about it? But before I directly answer that, let's start with a quick refresher. Even if you think you know this stuff, stick with me because context matters. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. It's a term we use to describe optimizing your website in a way that search engines like Google, Bing, Yahoo, AltaVista, and others understand what you offer and show those websites in their search results. The whole idea was to get on page 1, ideally in those top 3 spots. Now, let me paint you a picture because the younger crowd is only going to know Google by AI summaries in the near future. Before AI was released to the public, you would visit a website like Google, type in a few keywords on what you were looking for, and then it would give you a list of either business listings first through Google Maps or websites where you would find more information on the keywords you used to search. There wasn't an answer that was given at the top. It was just a list of websites, and you would have to visit those websites one by one to find data and answers to the things that you were looking for. For small business, usually you would want to show up in what at the time they called Google Places listings, because that's where the clicks happened. It would show almost like a Google Maps, and you would have what was called a Google Places listing. And it would show, I think, usually the top 3 or so businesses in the Google Places listings in that Google Maps preview, and you would want to show up there. And the higher you showed up on either of those lists, whether it was the Google Places listing or just the list of websites, the more likely you were to have your website clicked on, and the more likely you were to land a customer or a lead. So for over 20 years now, SEO has been the foundation of digital marketing for organic traffic. If you've ever spent time researching keywords, writing meta descriptions, building backlinks, or trying to figure out what Google wants this week, that is SEO. We've all done some version of it. So that's what SEO is, and now I'm going to tell you how it works from the technical side. From the technical perspective, SEO is built around how traditional search engines like Google operate. When someone types a question or a statement into Google, the search engine scans its index of billions of web pages, looking for the best matches. It evaluates pages based on hundreds of ranking factors like keyword relevance, backlinks from other sites, page load speeds, mobile friendliness, domain authority, how long people typically stay on your website, and so on. The goal is to convince Google's algorithm that your page is the most relevant, authoritative answer for a given search term. You do this by researching what keywords people are searching for, strategically placing those keywords in your titles, headings, and content, and then building backlinks from reputable sites, making sure that your site is technically sound, and then creating content that keeps people engaged. That's what a lot of people used a blog for back in the day. Now, before I continue, I want to be really clear about this next point. SEO still matters. The fundamentals of good SEO, the stuff about having quality content and clear structure and building authority in your niche, all of that is still valuable. But, and this is a big but, search is changing and it's changing fast. And if you're only focused on the old playbook of SEO, you're going to start noticing that something feels off, like the rules shifted and nobody sent you the memo. You may start to see, or even have already started to notice, that your organic search traffic is dwindling. People aren't finding your business the way they used to, and this new search shift could be a huge factor in that. Some experts will say that SEO will be obsolete by 2028, as AI search is projected to completely remove traditional search from the picture. But no one really knows that for sure, and no one really knows what the future holds. So let's hold off on the doom and gloom as it relates to that. So now we've set the context for how things have worked in the past. Let's talk about what's actually happening now. People are still searching, they're still looking for information and recommendations and answers to questions, so on and so forth, but they're not clicking through to websites. Remember a few moments ago I mentioned you had to click through a list of sites to find the answers you were looking for? Well, with the introduction of AI to the public, we have begun to rely on generated summaries to provide us with the answers we're looking for. So on top of that, people are using ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Grok, all of these AI engines instead of Google. And these AI tools aren't giving you a list of links to choose from front and center. They're reading dozens of sources, synthesizing all of that information, and just giving you the answer directly. No clicking required. This has created a fundamental shift in how people search for and find information. The question businesses used to ask was, how do I rank higher on Google? Now the question is, how do I become the answer that AI recommends? That's a different question, and it requires a different approach. Enter GEO. GEO stands for Generative Engine Optimization. But before I dive into that, you probably need to know what a generative engine is. Think of it this way. Traditional search engines like Google are basically giant filing cabinets. They crawl the web, they index everything, and when you search, they pull out the files that seem most relevant and rank them for you. That you get 10 blue links back, you pick one, and you click on it. A generative engine is different because it's powered by AI instead of this index. Instead of handing you a list of links from its filing cabinet, it actually reads a bunch of sources in real time, synthesizes all of that information, and then gives you the answer directly. No list, no clicking, just here's what you need to know. Now, along with GEO, you may have seen terms like AEO or AIO. These are just small nuanced terms of AI search, but just to give you some clarity, AEO stands for Answer Engine Optimization, which is like those summaries that you see. And AIO is Artificial Intelligence Optimization. You might also see another one called RAG or RAG, and that stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And that is something that you see with these AI summaries in Google and such. This is where they are literally generating these summaries from these different sources that have been synthesized together for you. And if you've listened and understood this far, you've guessed it, you're optimizing your content so AI systems can understand, trust, and recommend your website and brand when someone asks a relevant question. Same goal as SEO, right? Except that the playing field is completely different. With SEO, you're optimizing for algorithms that rank pages and put them in a specific order in a virtual filing cabinet. You're trying to hit certain signals that tell Google, hey, this page deserves to be on page 1 for this keyword. But with GEO, you're optimizing for AI systems that literally synthesize information and make recommendations. The AI isn't just matching keywords to pages, it's actually trying to understand, who is this? What do they do? Are they credible? Can I confidently recommend them to someone asking a question? Maybe your next question is, why does AI care who this is or what they do or if they're credible? And here's the difference in a nutshell. Traditional Google search runs on an algorithm. It basically has a massive scoring system. And Google looks at your page and asks, does it have the right keywords? Does it link to other sites? Is it fast? Is it mobile friendly? It checks hundreds of these signals, assigns a score, and ranks the page accordingly. And the highest score wins. But AI runs on something completely different. It's called a large language model, or LLM. It doesn't score pages, it reads them. It's been trained on enormous amounts of text to actually understand human language and meaning behind our language. So when you ask it a question, it's not pulling up a ranked list and hoping you click the right one. It's actually synthesizing information and generating an answer from all of that information in real time. The algorithm is asking, which page matches this query? The large language model, or LLM, is asking, what's the actual answer and who do I trust enough to cite it? That's a much more complex evaluation. The AI is essentially asking itself, if I recommend this business and it turns out to be wrong or unhelpful, I look bad. So who can I trust? This is why GEO focuses on things like clarity, consistency, and credibility. It's not enough to have the right keywords on your page. The AI needs to be able to piece together who you are as an entity, what you actually do, why you're qualified, and whether you're trustworthy enough to recommend. And here's the thing that really clicked for me when I was doing research for the company I worked for before I started Clemelopy. AI systems are trained on natural human language. They're trying to understand intent and meaning, not just match patterns. So the old tricks like keyword stuffing, writing for algorithms instead of humans, and link farming actually hurt you now. AI is smarter than that, and it can tell when something is written for a machine versus written for a person. So it may be artificial, but it's certainly intelligent. So here we are with the $1,000,000 question that I see debated on LinkedIn every single day. Is GEO just really good SEO with a new name? And my answer is no. While there's a lot of overlap, the fundamentals of good SEO, which are clear structure, quality content, and topical authority, still matter. But GEO goes a lot further. It asks you to think about some things that traditional SEO doesn't take into consideration or factor in. First is entity clarity. Does AI know who you are as a distinct entity? Not just what keyword you rank for, but who you actually are, your name, your business, what makes you different from everyone else in your space. This is where things like consistent naming and schema markup come in. Second would be consistency. Are you saying the same thing in every single place that you have a presence? On your website, on your Google business profile, social media, your testimonials. If you describe your service one way on your homepage and in a different way on your about page, then you're creating confusion, and AI notices that. The third would be context. Does your content help AI understand why you're the right answer for a specific question? This is about being specific and going deep rather than trying to be everything to everyone. Fourth would be credibility signals. And this isn't just backlinks, although those definitely help. It's the kind of proof AI is looking for, and that would be your testimonials, your case studies, your citations from reputable sources. credentials, anything that demonstrates you actually know what you're talking about and deliver results. Here's how I think about the difference between SEO and GEO. SEO is about being findable. GEO is about being understood and recommendable. You can rank on page 1 and still not be someone AI would confidently recommend. And increasingly, being recommended is what's going to matter. Now, I'm going to take a leap here and say that I know what some of you might be thinking. Okay, Jen, this sounds like enterprise level stuff. I'm just a virtual assistant solopreneur, or I'm just a Shopify store owner selling aprons. I'm a boutique donut shop. Do I really need to worry about all this? Yes, and here's why. When someone asks an AI engine, where can I get something sweet and unique in my area? Or can you recommend a reputable virtual assistant? Or where can I get a nice gift for someone who loves to make sourdough bread? You want to be the answer. You want to be the answer that AI gives your name to these people and links to your website. And in my opinion, local businesses actually have an advantage here. Seriously, because you can be specific in big ways that big brands can't. You can talk about your exact service area, your actual clients, your real experience at local venues and in local neighborhoods. You can be personal and connected in your community, but big brands have a bigger struggle with GEO because they've got more ground to cover with less specificity. They're trying to appeal to everyone everywhere, but local services, you know your people, you know your place, you know your craft. And AI isn't looking for the biggest brand, it's looking for the best answer. And sometimes the best answer is this makeup artist in St. Augustine has done bridal makeup at this venue for 8 years and knows exactly how to handle the humidity and lighting there. That's specific and that's credible. And that's the kind of thing that AI can confidently recommend. So don't let the jargon intimidate you. This is actually more accessible to small businesses than a lot of the old SEO playbook tactics, which often felt like you needed a massive budget to compete with anyway. So let's get practical. What do you actually need to do differently? First, I want to reassure you that you don't have to throw out everything you know about SEO. If you've been doing the fundamentals well, which is writing helpful content, keeping your site organized, building your reputation, that's all still valuable. You're not starting over. But you do need to start thinking about some additional questions. Number one is my brand clearly defined? Could an AI describe what I do and why I'm different? Is my brand clear? If you don't have clarity about this yourself, AI definitely won't either. Number two, is my content consistent? Am I using the same language everywhere? The same name for my business, the same descriptions of my services, the same terminology, or am I kind of all over the place depending on the platform? Number three, am I building real proof? Testimonials, case studies, credentials, anything that shows I actually deliver results, not just claims, but evidence. And number four, is my website structured in a way that makes sense, not just to humans, but to systems trying to understand me? Clear headings, logical organization. The important stuff is easy to find, that sort of thing. These are the questions GEO asks you to answer, and this is what we're going to dig into in upcoming episodes. I'm not going to leave you hanging with a bunch of concepts and no roadmap. Don't worry. This episode of The Canopy is brought to you by Clemelopy. If you want to start optimizing your website for AI search, I put together a free resource called the 2026 GEO Playbook. It walks you through how to make your content AI ready step by step and in plain language. Download it for free at clemelopy.com/playbook. So is GEO just really good SEO? No. but it does build on the same foundation. A lot of the fundamentals overlap, but it asks you to think bigger, not just about rankings, but about being understood, not just about being findable, but about being recommendable. If you want to future-proof your marketing, this is where you start. Understanding that the game is shifting and positioning yourself for where things are going rather than just where they've been. In the next episode, I'm going to introduce you to a series I'm starting about our proprietary system called the Orchard Ecosystem Framework. This is Clemelopy's approach to making all of this actually doable and understandable for small businesses. It's technical strategy wrapped in something you can actually picture in your head, and it's going to give you a roadmap for implementing everything we talked about today. Thanks for spending time with me today, and I hope that you have some clarity on the difference between SEO and GEO. Until next time, keep growing forward.